Pat Forde, Yahoo Sports national college columnist covering college football as we run through the weekend. Let me start with Ohio State, Penn State. Pat, your takeaway from this game was what?
Another second straight death-defying comeback by Ohio State that was aided and abetted by Penn State. Penn State hadn't been able to finish against Ohio State. They've played two great games, really three great games in a row against them, but the last two, they've given away late leads, and then, the whole thing, it was a heck of a game, and then the 4th and 5 call by James Franklin and his staff was just such a colossal buzzkill. You're heading towards this really climactic, exciting ending, and you run that play in that situation, and everybody's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, my problem with it is I have to have my best. If I can put the ball in the hands of my best player, then I want him to have it, and I wanted Trace McSorley to have it. Win or lose, at least I have it in his hands. And I know they saw something with the defense, or they thought they were going to, catch them off guard here. I get it. I still want my best player to have his hands on the ball.
Absolutely, especially when your best player can either run it or throw it. I mean, he's been phenomenal all night. He was, he ran for 175 yards. He made big throws. They couldn't stop him, and to take it out of his hands in that moment was pretty shocking, and especially after timeout, and it just seemed like a classic outsmart themselves situation.
I know you posed the question about Notre Dame going undefeated. Looking at their schedule, do you think they'll go undefeated?
I would say no, just because while they're a good team, I don't think they are a great team. I don't think they're a team without weakness. And usually those teams find a spot somewhere along the line to trip up, and maybe it's at Virginia Tech this Saturday, but Virginia Tech's starting quarterback is out with a broken leg. Maybe it's at the end against USC. Maybe it's somewhere in between. Syracuse in Yankee Stadium could turn out to be a tricky game. But, my guess is they probably end up with at least one loss. But if you want to look at it right now and project they're going to be favored, you would think in every game.
Yeah, it feels like they'll slip up someplace there. We're still not sure what we have with Virginia Tech. Syracuse is fun. USC, I don't know what to expect from USC. I mean, they allowed Arizona to come back and nearly lost that game. How would you handicap USC right now?
Major question marks. I young in some key places, not very well coached, I don't think, not overly tough and physical. Not very impressed with them at this juncture. Now, Clay Helton's teams, if they've done one thing over the last few years, they've gotten better as the season's gone along. Yeah. But 5 games in, I'm underwhelmed by USC.
We had the situation this past week where Trevor Lawrence was announced he was going to be the starter. So the Clemson quarterback gets the call over Kelly Bryant, who was a decorated starter, won 16 of his 18 starts, senior. Now all of a sudden the incoming freshman, 5-star recruit, he gets the start, gets injured against Syracuse. Does anybody know where Kelly Bryant is right now?
He's from Piedmont, South Carolina, which is like 25 miles from the Clemson campus. So I would not be surprised if Clemson dispatched several staffers to carry him on a sedan all the way to campus. But I don't know whether he's interested in coming back. I don't know whether Dabo wants him. When the question came up after the game, he really didn't seem interested in it. And I can understand that. It's like, look, we almost lost and one of the reasons why is because this guy left the team. He wanted to talk about the team he has right now. So that situation's still up in the air. It would be a difficult return, but I don't think it's an impossible return. But if you're looking at it from Clemson's standpoint, you say, okay, Chase Bryce was good enough to get us through. We're playing Wake Forest next weekend. We think we can win that one with Chase Bryce. Then we've got a bye week. If Trevor Lawrence, if the injury isn't more severe than it looked, he should be back after that, and we can make a go of it.
Talking to Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports. But we're also seeing this trend here, Pat, where you really get a couple of years to prove yourself in college football, and even then that might not be enough because everybody's bringing in another 5-star recruit. These kids are ready to go as soon as they hit campus. They're enrolling early in some cases here. And it feels like, Trevor Lawrence, when he gets to be a junior, is going to be facing somebody who's a freshman coming in and probably challenging him for his job.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, quarterbacks I think are ready earlier, and yeah, there's more of them, especially at that position, that will come in early and be there for spring practice and give themselves a chance to play right away. Certainly, the best of them want to play as freshmen. They don't want a red shirt because they're like thinking, hey, 3 years and I'm going pro, baby. So, the timetable is just different now. And quarterbacks they get so much more coaching before college, too, with the quarterback camps and individual instructors and that sort of thing. I just think there's a lot of them that are a lot more ready early than there used to be.
I was also watching the Louisville game against Florida State. And I'm thinking, okay, and I actually kept it on, even though I thought, well, Louisville's just going to run out the clock, and maybe Florida State gets the ball back with less than a minute to go, and, let's see if they can go the entire field or whatever they need to do to tie the game or maybe win it. And then all of a sudden, Bobby Petrino, offensive genius at Louisville, says, let's throw the ball. And now your quarterback's last name is Pass. Do you think that he thought it was an instruction? Like, Jawan, pass. And then quarterback thought he meant pass instead of he was calling him over. Jawan, pass. Okay, coach. What do you think?
That's the best explanation I've heard, because none of the other explanations make any sense. It was just a catastrophically bad call. I mean, between that and between what James Franklin did and Frank Whitereich's decision yesterday, it's like, oh my gosh, these coaches have lost their minds at the end of games. But Petrino, not many people have had a worse month than Petrino. His team is terrible. Fans have kind of gotten tired of his act. Lamar Jackson's not there anymore. They cannot score, which was his thing. They can't move the ball. They can't score. And then you blow one of the few games you're probably going to have a chance to win, and it's solely on you in that decision. I mean, just made no sense whatsoever. With his name may be passed, but he doesn't do it terribly well, and that showed it right then and there. I mean, threw it directly into the chest of a Florida State guy, and they win the game directly off of that. Do
they have a backup quarterback named Take a Knee?
Or Handoff, yeah.
Let's put Take a Knee in there. Okay, give me 3 games this weekend to keep an eye on.
Okay, it's a pretty light slate, I will say, but start with the Red River Shootout. Oklahoma and Texas. Texas has bounced back after that dismal loss to begin with. They look pretty good, and they've played Oklahoma pretty tough in that series lately. Then you would go LSU at Florida. LSU's been one of the better surprises so far. Ed Orgeron, a lot of people thought that he'd be playing his way onto the hot seat by now, and maybe he's the coach of the year instead. But it's a tough game in the Swamp. Dan Mullen has Florida playing better. And then I'd say Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. See if Ian Book can keep that thing rolling.
Now, you did say the Red River Shootout. Now, it's not known as the Shootout. Is that because you can't say Red River Rivalry?
It's because, yes, I have an aversion to cleansing names like that for reasons that don't really strike me as compelling.
Red River Rivalry. Yeah, got a problem with that one. Yeah.
No Elmer Fudd disease here. I just don't like the name Red River Rivalry.
Thank you, Pat. It's good to catch up with you.
My pleasure, Dan. Enjoy the weekend.
All righty. Pat Forde, Yahoo Sports, National College Football columnist there.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.